Right, we're live today. I'm joined with Paul King, who's a good friend of mine, former Northern Area champion and Season X Pro. And of course, the special guest today is Junior Witter, who I was a massive fan of growing up. Former WBC champion at light welterweight, former Commonwealth, European, and British champion as well. How you doing, Junior?
I'm very well, thanks.
How you doing, champ? Pleased to meet you. I was a big fan as well back in the day.
Nice, so, Junior, nice and I had some. Yeah.
The first question I'd like to ask is, what was life for you like growing up, and how did you first get into boxing, mate?
I had a friend who boxed. I went to school with, and he talked about what we were doing in boxing, winning boxing for belts, and I just thought that sounds like something I'm interested in. And he said, basically, the Bradford Championships were happening. They'd just started about 2 weeks in. So if you want to come up next Friday after school, come along and have a go.
That was at Bradford Police, wasn't it? You boxed for as an amateur?
That's why I boxed for as an amateur, but that was before I went to Bradford Police. So this was probably the January of that year. School championships were starting. So I just rolled up on my own, no gym, no affiliation to anyone. Walked into the door and said, yeah, I want to have a go at this. And they went, okay, there's 4 training sessions left, once every Friday for the next 4 weeks. And then the actual competition actually happens the following week. So if you want to come along, have a go.
So did you enter the schoolboys? Yeah.
I entered that. I had my first fight in the benches, as you used to call them.
Yeah.
So like the ring 4 benches, boxed in that. Stopped the first kid in, I think it was first round, might have been second, and then boxed in the final 2 weeks after.
All right, aye. So how did you get on the final?
I lost to a kid called Jason Joseph from Bradford. I think I boxed him about 5-6 times as an amateur. But at that point, that's all I'd done. 4 sessions.
Yeah, that's not too bad, is it really, when you think about it?
4
just
sessions,
walking into the championships and getting to the div finals, like.
Yeah, it was an experience.
Junior, what was your amateur record overall then? And did you still have like that? Do you know the elusive style and the switch hitting style? What you had? Did you develop that with Ingle, or did you have that already as an amateur?
I had my style before. There is a couple of fights out on YouTube from when I was an amateur. But yeah, I had my style. And amateur fights in total, I think I had 119, 120, and I won about 80.
That's a good record. Good record.
Yeah. I think my first season I had 18 fights and I won 10.
That's not bad, considering the amount of experience you had going in to start off with. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was an interesting time within my life. Boxing was very different back then. If you want,
it was.
It was a very different animal, especially amateurs. But yeah, I went in, trained a couple of times. My old trainer Alec Allen, he saw potential, and he says, "Right, just give it a go," and he just put us in. And I boxed whenever and every time I could.
So you turned pro in 97, I think, wasn't it? 97?
Yeah, January 97.
Yeah, that's right. Aye. Because I remember seeing you on a
record. Sorry, before you went pro, Junior. Sorry, Paul. Because I'm
go on, carry on.
Yeah, too good on this. What made you go pro? Because you were thrown in quite at the deep end, Junior, and Just tell us a little bit about that, Junior.
I'd boxed amateurs as long as I wanted to, and the ABAs didn't like my style. Ian Irwin was the head of the amateur boxing team at the time, boxing association, ABA at the time, and he didn't like my style.
He was the England coach, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the head of the England coach. He wanted people who 2 forward, 2 back, just bouncing in, bouncing back. And if you didn't do that, you didn't get picked. I boxed for Young England once when I was 16. I won that against the Scottish team. And then I'd been down to squad training a couple of times. And he wasn't impressed. He didn't like it. I couldn't run fast enough. I couldn't do some of the exercises what they did, as well as other people who could do them exercises at my weight. And I thought, well, it's not about that. It's about getting in the ring and throwing punches. It's about boxing. And when it comes to the boxing, and when we're in the ring sparring, no one got on top of me, which was for me what it was all about. It didn't matter if someone could beat me in a sprint, but he wanted people who were the best at sprinting, the best all-round athlete, not the people who were best in the ring at boxing. And if you box 2 forward, 2 back, and you were an all-round athlete, you were through.
It's always been the same, really. Like, do you agree?
Yeah, it's unfortunately the same thing in life. You know what I mean? When you face fits, it works.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I know a few fighters that have been through exactly the same as what you have. They were best in England, but they didn't get picked up because the face didn't fit, the style didn't fit, type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, especially with me and my style, when I came through, it was very much an unknown. It wasn't given any credit. Because I remember being on a squad training with Naz. And the abuse we got for not doing boxing the way they wanted us to box, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and the referees as well. They didn't like that type of style either, did they?
Funny
no,
you say that,
they didn't want to score it.
I remember reading in Joe Calzaghe's autobiography that when he first went pro, he parted ways with his father and tried to train with somebody else, and was just trying to unteach him everything what made him successful.
Yeah.
But, tell us a little bit about Brendan Ingle, because you went to that gym, you know, when it was the place. Did you start your pro career there, or like how did that come about, mate?
I started my pro career there. My old trainer just went, if you're going to go pro, go with Brendan. He knew Brendan through the years of the amateur game, and he went, Brendan's a good guy. He'll tell you when it's time to pack up, and he'll look after you.
Yeah, and your style fitted right in there, like, didn't it, straight away?
Yeah, straight away. And the other people who were around, they were like Steve Hurst, who was one of the other coaches at gym, who brought me down, and other coaches from other gyms in the area. I remember Keithley Gym, Carmen Centre Gym, and they all went, if you're going to go pro, go with Brendan, because your style is his style. It suits, you'll fit right in. And when I walked into that gym, it was like, I had to get used to body sparring. The footwork drills were different to because I boxed to an extent. I just made my own thing up from the ABA book. And Brendan's got patterns and styles the way we're doing stuff.
Yeah.
And he put some foundation behind what I'd already done. And just helps with little bits of balancing here and there, which once I got the way they teach, I just took on making my own. So
you turned pro 97. I think you fought Zab Judah, something like after about 15 or 16 fights, I remember. Because I thought at the time that it was madness, but then I thought, well, you get offered an opportunity like that, you can't turn it down, money-wise and prestige-wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing was, I looked and I thought, when I'd had 16 at the time, and when that fight came up, I just went, it's too early. And I knew it was too early. But at the same time, I'm like, with all the stick I'd had through the amateurs, not getting picked for England, not getting a chance to go to Commonwealth Games, to Olympic Games, and the multinations, and even though I was beating the people who were going, I won't get a shot. And I just went, you might never get another shot. And stranger things have happened. I've got the skill set. I know I've got the skill set.
You done unbelievably well as well, didn't you? I think was it not a split decision or something?
No, I think it was a point.
Was it unanimous? Was it?
I think it was unanimous. But the thing was, nobody expected me to get to the third round.
Yeah.
It was like first round, second round. If he makes it to round 3, I've done really, really well. But end of round 6, I were ahead. But end of round 12, I was just behind. But I was ahead by round 6. So
I remember the write-ups in pre-fight in the Boxing News. Yeah. And it didn't really give you much of a chance purely on the experience level.
I'd never done a 12-rounder.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd never done a 12-rounder. Most I'd been 8 rounds twice. And by all accounts, I shouldn't have been in the ring with him. He was the official pound-for-pound best in the world. I shouldn't have been in the ring with him.
Well, I remember thinking it was madness.
I think I did a 4-rounder the fight before, and I was then trying to get a shot for the British title, a chance at the British title, and they didn't want to give me a shot for the British title.
Yeah.
Junior.
Yeah.
How did the Judah fight come about again? Because if I recall reading correctly, you were a little bit of a late replacement for Judah.
I think you got about a week's notice, didn't you?
And what did that do for your confidence, that fight? Did it boost your confidence? Did it give you like a renewed sort of hunger, or did it like knock your confidence? Really, like you did well. Obviously you did better than expected. So
it definitely boosted my confidence. 9 days notice I got for that fight. Basically, just enough time to get my weight right, so I was healthy enough after weighing. And that's all I had time to do. I didn't have time to study tactics and going to do this and have I never really had many camps as such. But with that one, 9 days notice, all I did was get my weight right, get in the ring and fight. I think, who were we supposed to box? I can't remember. He was supposed to box someone from London who pulled out 9 days before, got the phone call, do you want the fight from IBF World title?
Wasn't Colin Lines, was it? No.
No.
Because I remember you beat him for the British title, didn't you?
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, that's right. But to know that you'd done so well in such great company must have been a massive boost to your confidence.
It was, and it was one of those things whereby until you've actually done it, you don't know that you can do it as much as you think you can do it. Yeah. You can spar as many rounds as you want until you've done 12 rounds.
Yeah.
At a hard with someone who can actually fight, you don't know you can do 12 rounds. And I'd done 8 rounds with 2 people who were tough, and they were hard. And then said, right, you're going in with the best of all the champions over 12. I'm like, ooh, this is really going to be hard. And it was.
So tell us, after that, Junior, after you were sort of fast-tracked the first time, you then took a back step and sort of took the traditional route of British, Commonwealth and European to get you to become WBC mandatory. When did how was that journey, and when did the rivalry with Ricky Hatton start to develop? Because as a child, as a teenager, I started being a boxing fan around the time Ricky Hatton was just winning the title against Costa Zoo, and you were sort of fighting on ITV for the European title and stuff. But I knew that the rivalry between you and Ricky was already like going on then. So tell us a little bit about that after the Costa the Zab Judah fight, mate.
Well, the rivalry started well before that. Realistically, it started when he really came on the scene. Frank did what he always does. He picked 3 stars from Manchester: Ricky, Anton Farnell, and Michael Gomez, and he got their careers going. He started them going, and I'm at Ricky's weight, and I just went, I can beat him, and it wasn't a case of I had a problem with Ricky Hatton or I'm bothered about him as a person, because I'm not. But it's just a case of it was someone who was stealing the limelight at my weight, and I just went, if I beat him, get him in the ring. If I get him in the ring, I'm going to beat him. But it's a case of that boosts my career and boosts my potential earnings. So it wasn't a case of I didn't like him. I didn't really know him. It was just a case of he was someone who was on the scene as a celebrity. Therefore, you fair game. And when it came to the British title, I was supposed to box for the British title before Hatton was, and Frank pulled a maneuver, got Hatton in first, and Hatton won it. Then the deal was realistically I was going to box Hatton, and rather than box me, you vacated.
Ricky went through the WBU route, defending that title a lot. And by the way, folks, we just lost Paul there. You might be pop back on the stream in a minute. But why do you think the fight never materialised? And did it ever look close to happening before Ricky won the title?
It was close when he was British champion and I was mandatory, and it should have happened. There's been plenty of opportunities for that fight to actually happen, and between the powers that be, it didn't happen. There's lots of different angles within that, but the main issue is they didn't want it.
I'm sorry, that the audio's not coming through well at the moment. So, what changed after Ricky won the world title? And obviously, you beat some good fighters like Kotelnik and others in your European run. What changed when Ricky was champion? I remember an interview with Hatton, and I wanted to see that fight then. But Ricky was just like, I remember him saying that if he saw you fighting in his backyard, he'd close the curtains. And did it ever start to get personal there, or did you think that was just excuses he was making to avoid a dangerous fight?
It's definitely excuses to avoid a dangerous fight. When you've got your mandatory, who you've avoided, and you've got someone who's on a really good knockout streak, and you're not wanting to watch them, that means that you don't want to see what you're going to have to deal with.
I've completely lost audio at the minute. Absolute nightmare. But it's can you still hear me, Junior? Because it was the other way around at the start.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
So unfortunately, I can't relay what Junior's saying because I can't hear it at the minute. But just can you tell people watching about the upcoming book you're doing with Jamie Boyle, and what that'll be going into about the grudge with Ricky and stuff like that? Because Jamie was on the channel earlier this week, and he mentioned that there's going to be some new things about that. So can you just tell people watching, and people in the comments are saying that they can hear both men, so that's good to know.
Yeah, the book basically going to go through my career. I'm going to start a little bit of my amateur career, come through all my pro career, the rivalries, the fights that didn't happen, the reasons I believe a lot of the fights didn't happen, some of the things people won't know, and until you hear it from or know someone within the game, it's very hard to understand how these things are allowed to happen.
Well, I look forward to reading it because the thing with Jamie Boyle's books, and I've read some of his ones about underworld figures, is he just gets into the story in a completely different way that not a lot of people can. But Junior, another thing I'd just like to hear about, and I'm probably not going to hear this till after the interview when I watch it back, is one of the things about your career is after kind of you won the WBC title against Marcus Corley and eventually lost it to Tim Bradley, who was like a real danger man. And obviously that's, for me, when the fight should have happened was when you and Ricky were both champions. You sort of became part of the Who Needs Him club because you were a dangerous switch hitter, but like not very marketable because you'd never been given sort of the promotion Ricky Hatton was. Tell us what fight during that part of your career did you want to materialize the most? Because I always wanted to see the Amir Khan fight, and how do you think that would have went?
Amir Khan fight nearly happened, and the bit where it fell through was just unbelievable because it was done, it was agreed, and I was happy, they were happy, and it's a weird one. But yeah, I'd have knocked him out, plain and simple. He can't take the power. I'm a big puncher. He's got a weak chin. I know he's quick and he was younger and this and that, but he only takes one shot, and then he gets into a fight, and that's when I would actually took him apart quite easily at that point. There's many fights that could have happened around that time. Mayweather fight is definitely one that I would have liked to have happened. But yeah, probably at the time, the biggest fight I would have liked to have, like, the rematch was Abjuda. That was one I was trying to get, and when I was #1 for the WBO for over a year, that fight should have happened. So it's frustrating, the fights that didn't take place, but there's a lot of them, and yeah, I'll go into a little bit more detail in the book with them. Yeah, I think the thing with Jamie, the book will be done very well.
I always felt with Amir Khan, that was a very winnable fight, and I'm sorry, Junior, if I'm not following on from what you said. It's not coming through properly. But I always felt that with Khan, you would have had the ability to walk him onto something. I know you were more known as a boxer, but like you really could punch with some venom. And Khan was always known as being a little bit chinny, and I would have liked to seen that fight around the time Khan first beat Kotelnik, or just before Khan won the title. But tell us, Junior, what was your career like towards the end of your career, and what prompted your decision towards like retirement? And did you have any regrets about your career at all? And Liam McNamara has said in the comments, Ricky Hatton fight should have happened. Junior would have been a nightmare for Hatton.
Can you hear me now? Am I back in?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Nice one, right. So I'm sorry about that. I don't know whether you carried on and I just lost signal, but where are we at now? Whereabouts are we at now in the conversation?
We're just talking about a little bit about the book at the minute.
Right.
It's just talking about some of the things that are coming up in the book, and he was asking then about the Amir Khan fight again.
Yeah.
He's lost audio. I look at it and I just think the Amir Khan fight. it's pretty much like I said. I was known as a boxer, but I had 15 knockouts in a row, and I had the longest knockout streak in British boxing at the time. And yeah, my main problem was I wasn't given the credit I deserved coming through. Which
I don't think you were given. Yeah, I don't think you were given the credit there that you deserved, like, because you seem to get labelled with like not a fan-friendly style. But I've always been a purist, and I loved your skills, and I loved the way your elusiveness and all the rest of it. And I couldn't understand how you didn't get the big paydays, so to speak, as what you were supposed to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I struggle with that myself sometimes. It's just life's full of oddities and things that happen. And there's no logic to why things don't happen sometimes. And it's just right place, right time, right marketing for me. And my achievements were belittled and not given the credit they were deserved. I remember my 10th fight, I boxed a guy called Jan Bergman. And at the time, Jan Bergman was the number 3 in the world with the IBF. He'd had 35 fights. He'd won 34, and he'd only lost to Costa Zoo. Yeah. Something like 27 knockouts. I boxed him 6-3s at MEN on one of Naz's undercards. And they put us on first. We were the first bout on. So people were coming to the venue. Most of them missed it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. There wasn't like now where you can go back and watch on social media now, just get the recap of the early fights. It wasn't like that. You watched it live, and if you didn't record it yourself, it wasn't available.
Yeah.
And when it come to the boxing news on the write-up, I got a line and a half saying Junior Witter beat Jan Bergman on points.
Yeah, you were probably lucky if he was even there, but he just got the result, and that's why he put such a just a few lines, because he probably wasn't even there in the first place. But I think you got the wrong end. You got the wrong end of the stick, like rating wise, boxing news and all the rest of it. A lot of the time, I thought. You didn't get the credit where it was due with the kids that you were actually beating. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Because, I mean, you took on some good fighters very, very early in your career.
Yeah, I was matched very hard. Very hard.
And you came through 99% of the time.
Yeah. If you look at my debut, I boxed Cameron Rayside, who was the Midlands area welterweight champion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Junior, I was just looking. I was just looking at that earlier, mate. And I seen his record was 8-1, and thank God I can hear things again now, because there was still a lot I wanted to ask you, mate. Sorry, can you just tell us a little bit about the night you boxed DeMarcus Corley? Because I've had DeMarcus on this podcast as well before, and a lot of champions, when you talk to them, when they tell you about the favourite night of the career, amateur and pro, it's usually the night that they won the title. What was your best night, mate, and what was fighting Corley like?
Well, my favourite night was actually, well, my best night was probably Vivian Harris. That defence. That's for me. That's the one.
For me, that was the best win of your career. Yeah. He was a great fighter, him, Vivian Harris.
Yeah, and he was brilliant.
Did you knock him out in the 7th, or was it the 7th or the 9th or something? Yeah, 7th round. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
But it was a good fight as well. Great fight. Great fighter. And great. Everything about that night was, in some way, I'll go into my book. There's more things that happened before that, and that made that even better.
Yeah.
But yeah, winning the world title was weird. Was very weird, because it was very surreal. It was amazing, but very surreal. No,
in
it
Las
was
Vegas,
London.
No, sorry, yeah, that's right. It was
Ali Pali.
Yeah, that's right. Wood Green. That's right. I used to live not far from there. But yeah, I'm saying winning the world title must be just an amazing feeling, surreal, like you say. Do you know what I mean? How long did it take for you to sink in that you're world champion, WBC world champion as well?
Probably about 4 months.
Same year as Ricky Hatton won it as well, wasn't it? 2006.
I don't know what Ricky won that. I think Ricky moved up and won a WBA
Or was it 2005 he won it?
Well,
Ricky won his before me.
And another thing, what I just remember is obviously the money fights. Still the money fight, really, because he's fighting YouTubers to this day, was Floyd Mayweather, and he was around at that time, right? And DeMarcus Coley got that fight, and he was telling me about the story of how he got that fight and the experience of it. But if I remember rightly, you were mandatory for Floyd Mayweather, and he moved up to welterweight. I mean, I suppose, financially that might have made more sense for him, but what did you think about the whole Mayweather thing at that time and the prospect of fighting him?
I was reveling it. There were a couple of times we almost boxed that I agreed to that fight. Back from 2002, I think was the first time. And I just think that was kind of Frank just trying to scare me more than it being a realistic proposition at that time. But yeah, I was up for it from then, and I look at him and I just think you're brilliant in what you do in the way you do it, but there's flaws there that I can exploit with my style, my power, my ability to deliver shots. And the difference is Floyd at light welter is not a puncher. Yeah, he's not a puncher. I'm not saying he can't. He's weak and he's pathetic, because he's not. But he's not a puncher. Where me at light welter, I'm quick. I was quick. I was slick, and I was very powerful.
Like you see, when he moved up to the heavier weights, Mayweather was he didn't like to hold his feet, and he didn't like to stay. He didn't like to get engaged, did he? Do you know what I mean?
No, he's got hand trouble documented.
Yeah.
And really, all right, he knocked out Ricky, but apart from that, when was his knockout before that? Last knockout before that?
Yeah, I know. I think it was something like 6 years or something. When it was the first, something ridiculous. I remember it was 15 fights or 6 years or something before he. Then that was the only knockout he recorded in his last 15 fights or something.
Yeah.
Mind you,
I just look at it and I think, I know there's opportunities where I would have exploited him. And if you speak to when he was talking about his worst opponent was what's he called now? The dancing boxer.
Emmanuel Augustus.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Emmanuel Augustus was very tricky, very good, very tough, but he want a winner. Yeah,
he's more of a journeyman type.
But at that level, top level, he was a bit of a journeyman, but he was top level journeyman. Yeah. And he was very good, and I'm not saying he couldn't win, but at the very top, he just fell short. And I'm like, well, I do a lot of the stuff he does, just that I'm better. And
I think you hit a little bit harder. I think you hit a little bit harder as well.
Yeah. So everything was just that little bit better, a little bit quicker, a little bit sharper, a little bit harder. And if that's that's the worst person you fought, the hardest fight you had was Emmanuel Augustus, you couldn't cope with me.
Well, that's it.
Because I know I'm better.
But Mayweather was a master of ducking anybody that even had any sort of chance that might make him look bad or got a chance of beating him. I think he just used to move up and down or retire and then come back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So
listen,
I think there may have been a little bit of that attached to that as well.
Yeah, he was, and he has been the most successful boxer, financial boxer ever, because of that ability.
Yeah.
His ability to use and manipulate the politics of boxing just give him that extra edge. Avoided the right opponent at the right time, get the right opponent nice and early, and he's done it. And you can't knock his achievements. Yeah,
oh no, he's not one of my favorite boxers. Yeah, do you think you would have got if it obviously would have been on his terms, in his venue with his gloves, with his? You think you would have got a fair shake if you did get a chance to have fought him? Or
knocked him out. I'd have knocked him out.
Yeah, that would have been the only way you could have won. Actually, the way I'm looking at it, like, but
yeah, it's a bit like Canelo at the minute.
Yeah,
you can't just nick a win. You've got to be weighing for him, and that's how I looked at that fight, and that's what I thought I'd have done.
See, to me, with your ability and what you achieved and the fights that you didn't get, that would be still weighing heavily, mentally wise, on me now. Do you know what I mean? Does it bother you at all? Do you think back and get annoyed or upset about things like that, money wise?
Not really. Listen, everybody wants more money. Yeah. There's plenty of I would have liked to earn a lot more money, and I deserve to earn a lot more money from the talent I had. And
definitely,
people actually fought. Never mind the ones who avoided me. But I just look at it like life's not fair. No way, shape, or form is life fair, and I am so much better off than many people. Money don't make me happy. Yeah. I mean, I look at diseases people have got, ill health. I can get up. I can do what I want to do. I'm still involved in boxing. I've got a book coming out. I've got a boot company where we customize boxing boots, switch it to customs. I'm still involved. Yeah. So
that's a positive way of looking at it, and to keep you sane. But like I say, that obviously the biggest fight, I don't know whether you've touched on it before, when I lost signal, was the Ricky Hatton fight that never came off. That must, I mean, if that would have done my head in, that, because that was a sure fight that should have been made, and for various reasons, I've got a story about that, because I knew Ricky vaguely, and that would be playing on my mind, because that would have been a mega bucks fight for you, and you had a good chance of winning.
It still could be, but
you never know.
I'm sorry, Junior.
Who I am. Come.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I remember when Ricky Hatton came back, even then it was a fight that made sense. I think he fought a Ukrainian fighter called, what was he called again? The Ukrainian fighter. Anyways, in the fight when he came back and he got stopped.
Yeah.
It's the lad Malinovsky beat for the title, and even then that fight made sense. You know what I mean, with you and Ricky, because Ricky, I believe you had suffered a couple of defeats and you were maybe not a journeyman, but like, and I just don't know, like, for a comeback fight, that was still, to be fair, I think it even was a pay-per-view, but I just think Ricky couldn't bear the thought of losing to you. And do you not think there's a little bit of that with Kell Brook and Amir Khan? And what do you think about the story with that?
The fight's been made, hasn't it, for February?
They've said that fight's made. I'm shocked it's been made. I'm happy for them. Yeah, I'm happy for boxing. In some respect, it's way too late, and they're both past it. But at least they're both past it, so it makes it actually. And with them too, it makes it interesting, because Kell's chin's not what it was. Amir Khan's never had a chin. Khan's fast. but he's not accurate. So it makes a very interesting fight, especially early on, because Kell's still got power, yeah. But will his power actually land at the minute? And how will his chin hold up when he takes a shot? Because in his last fight, it wasn't very good. So that's a really interesting fight.
Have you got many Kell Brooks stories, Junior? Because were you not both in the same gym around the same time? There must have been some good spars there, surely.
We've had loads of spars. Yeah, coming through with Kell. Kell's a character. But yeah, we've had some really good spars over the years. I remember when Kell was coming through and he was still an amateur. The times he tried to kill me as an amateur were funny. But then that was way before he was on the level where it became an actual proper spar. But then he moved up and he got better. And yeah, there's a few that'll probably come out in the book as well.
See, with Kell Brook, at one point I genuinely believed that he was the man at welterweight. I think that he would have beat Errol Spence. And I just felt that move when he moved up to middleweight to take on Golovkin was just career suicide. I mean, financially it might have been in the short term profitable, but just I felt if he just hung tight and waited for the Spence fight. What did you think about that one, Junior?
I thought the Spence fight was definitely the fight. Everybody knew the Spence fight was definitely the fight. It was just the money they threw at him for that fight. He just went, I'm going to grab the money. But without a doubt, Kell thought he was going to win. Kell did not go into that fight thinking, I'm going in for the money. He was going in for the win and for the glory winning and expecting even more money. He did not see himself getting beat any way, shape, because he thought, I've got the right game plan. I'm powerful. Because I'm heavier, I've got more power, which is kind of true with Kell, because Kell's power, the heavier he gets, the harder he hits. Different fighters fight in different way. But with Kell, it's definitely true. And I just thought Kell 100% went in with that belief. He got in and he gave it a really good go. But for me, after that fight, he had to come straight back down and box Spence within, as soon as that eye healed. Yeah, he should have boxed Spence. But it took way too long for that fight for him to get in with Spence. The distance, the length between boxing at welterweight and then boxing again at welterweight was too long for Kell.
Because Kell Brook was never really a welterweight. He was always a light middleweight, boiling down to welterweight. And I think he was actually the bigger man against Golovkin in the fight. I think he weighed heavier the night before and on the night, but he just wasn't as accustomed to the weight as Golovkin was. And obviously, Golovkin was one of the pound-for-pound best fighters at the time. But proud to be a Geordie's asked a good question, and I wanted to ask you this myself. What do you think about letting YouTubers fight Fury, Mayweather, etc.? Personally, I think they're set-up fights. What do you think about the current state of boxing, Junior, and the Jake Paul brother situation?
I think, unfortunately, the business has taken over. That's the real downer with boxing at the minute. The business has taken over.
Yeah.
And the sport has been made to have a back seat.
Do you think that Jake Paul's a legitimate fighter, or what do you think about him, mate? Or just what do you think watching him, if you have at all, mate?
I try not to. I can't. I've got standards. I don't watch loads and I'm not a boxing fanatic. Yeah, I watch people I know. I watch when I know something good's on. Yeah, so something good's coming on. Someone I've got an interest in for a reason. I'll watch it. But watching people because they've got a million fans on YouTube and they've been on Love Island and they're in Emmerdale or Coronation Street or they played cricket. I'm not interested. I want people who want to box because they can box and they want to box.
Definitely, definitely, Junior. And are you still involved with the sport of boxing today? Are you bringing on any fighters along? Are you doing anything like that, mate?
Yeah, I've got a few fighters. I've got Dom Hunt, who's just won the Central Area welterweight title in his first 10-rounder. That was good. That was on the DAZN show a couple of weeks ago. I've got a kid called Alex Taylor who's making his pro debut on the 4th of December. I've got another kid, Lewis Palmer, who's doing the same on that date. And then I've got a kid like I've got Matt Hunter who's had one. He won that. He's had a little bit of time out. He's coming back next year. And then on top of that, I've got name's gone. Nikolai Campbell. Sorry, Nikolai. I've known Nikolai years, and I always know when I'm in an interview, I'll forget his name. He's a very good fighter. Coming down to middleweight, probably going to try get him an area title fight within the next 6 to 12 months. So I've got fighters I train. I've got a couple of fighters I manage, and then I've got an amateur gym as well. And we've got kids coming through there that in 5 to 10 years are going to be superstars.
Well, here's a funny one, Junior, and this will be one of my last questions. But I know you and Ricky never got to settle your sort of like sporting grudge in the boxing ring, but obviously now you're training fighters. Have you followed the progress of Campbell Hatton? And what did you think about his last fight? And have you got any fighters around that weight who could get in and fight Campbell?
Oh God, fight.
Controversial.
Controversial. He's not very good. He's got loads and loads to improve on. Yeah. I missed his last fight. I've heard a lot of negativity about his last fight, and a lot of people saying he got beaten his last fight. But no, I've watched him a couple of times because he were on a couple of shows that I was watching, and I've not been impressed. He's not at a level where makes me half interested to watch.
Have you not got anybody like around that weight who you'd like to like put in with him, or like sort of because he's got some buzz around him?
Well, I don't even know what weight he's at.
I think he's at super featherweight, to be honest with you.
Jeez, I've got two people who could put in with him, but Matt Hunter would get in with him, absolutely. Alex Taylor, who's just turning over now, I'd put in with him, but there's no way I could see them wanting that fight because they're trying to look after him, and my lads would absolutely destroy him.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I mean, like you said about the business taking over, unfortunately, that just seems to be the case, mate, where like what you call it, that just seems to be the case where like the business sort of takes over the sporting side of things. And we've got Paul back. Paul, have you got any final questions for Junior before we wrap up?
Basically, no. I'm just wondering, your thoughts. I mean, I probably missed all that, but I mean, I'm just wondering your thoughts on the Ricky Hatton fight and the reasons why you thought it didn't come off.
There's a few different reasons. There's a few different reasons why at different times.
Oh, right.
It could have been made.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Well,
no, there's a few different reasons. Ricky didn't want it. His team didn't want it. His management didn't want it. His dad didn't want it at certain times. So at different times, there's people within his camp who didn't want it. But there was a point where Ricky wanted it, but that point didn't last long.
Yeah, because I've got a little story. Because I was at his, you know, when he had his, I don't know whether you heard about it, but he had a party at a warehouse on his 10th anniversary of winning his world title, and I was there, and I was in the company, and I actually brought your name into a conversation as to why he thought the fight didn't come up, and he said, "I'll be honest with you, I'll be straight." He said, "I would have took the fight." He says, "in a heartbeat." He said, "But basically, you trash talk them that much." He said, "Why should I give him the payday?" And that was his answer to my question. Basically, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on that is, because I remember there was a lot of bitter stuff going on between the two of you at the time. Hello, Eddie, mate. I'm just in the middle of a podcast, mate.
On that one, he trash talked Mayweather. That's how we got that.
Yeah, well, that's it. And he got the fight, didn't he? So you know, do you know when you were like, you know when you were giving it to him, big style, basically, and you were both back to and fro. What was that? Genuinely to get the fight on, where he didn't have anywhere to hide, so to speak.
Yeah, there's nothing personal in that from me. I know he took it a bit personal, and I know his mum did. Yeah, but I wasn't bothered. It was all about the fight. I want the fight. And
well, I know that for a fact. Well, you were the one that was looking for it more than him, I think. Or it seemed that way at the time, anyway.
It definitely was.
It definitely was, because if Ricky Hatton had wanted that fight would have happened. It's that simple. I mean, Ricky Hatton was the cash cow, and if he'd wanted that fight, Junior was there waiting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like I say, I mean, I was just wondering how Junior takes the fact that he blames the trash talk and not giving you, like you say, he was a cash cow, not giving you the fight because of that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, one thing what I think is I went to see Ben and Eubank the other week when they were up, and they're really good friends now.
Yeah.
Would you ever be like that with Ricky now, or is
a good
like? Because I've seen you in the gym together a few times.
Yeah, I'm all right with who I am. So as much as
you reached the pinnacle, didn't you?
Yeah, I did everything I achieved in boxing. I went out,
exactly,
and I became the best in the world at my division. Yeah, which is, to be honest, realistically more than what I first thought I could achieve. But I went out and I did it, and I never ducked anyone. I was never scared of anyone. And if anyone wanted to fight, I was up for it. I wasn't bothered.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, we know that. So what are you doing with yourself now? I mean, I don't know whether I missed this or not, but are you doing any sort of training, or have you got anything to do with boxing now in any way, shape, or form?
We've covered this one. We've covered this
right,
one.
okay, no problem.
Sorry, this one's been a bit all over the place today.
I know, I'm gutted actually, because you know, like I really want to be involved in this one, because like I say, I was a fan.
Junior's been a great guest and a true gentleman.
Yeah. So you know this book you've got out? Is it out now?
Yeah.
So if I get the book, could you send me like an address privately so you'd sign it for us?
Yeah. Do you know Jamie as well?
Yeah, and Jamie Boyle, who's writing the book.
Yeah. Oh, Jamie Boyle, yeah, right. Yeah.
Right.
So So would I be able to get a signed thing? Because I'm into all that, you know. I get like I've got a lot of fighters' books that have signed and that. So
yeah, that's not a problem.
I'd like yours on my shelf, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we can do something. That's not a problem.
So when can we expect that book coming out, Junior?
It's out now.
It's going to be out.
Oh, I thought you said it was out now.
May, June.
All right, next year, right?
Yeah.
Right. Fantastic, Junior. Well,
that'll make it a very interesting read, you know, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And Junior,
some bits that you're not expecting.
Well, yeah, I bet there's a lot of hidden stories there that we haven't touched on, that you keep private for the book. But anyway,
yeah.
Well, Stella Marie Smithson said, "Good podcast, Fergal. Thanks, Junior. Thanks, Paul. It has been great." And like I say, Jamie Boyle did say he's really excited about this book coming out. Check it out when it comes out, guys. It's going to be out.
I'll advertise as much as I can on mine. Aye.
And we'll call it a day at that. Sorry, it's been a bit all over the place today, this podcast. A few technical issues.
Wait till I see you, Fergal. I'm not happy.
But Junior's been brilliant.
Yeah, and, absolutely magic.
We'll call that a wrap there, folks, unless you've got anything final to say, guys. You two?
No, just it was
very good.
It was an honour to speak to you, champ. Thank you very much for your time. And allowing us in on this one.
I'm just going to let a fan get in to say, I remember meeting Junior at one of my amateur fights. Still got his signature on my shorts till this day. Right.
Well, they'll be worth a few quid.
Right. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.
No problem.
See you later, champion. See you later.